Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. We have had all kinds of weather this week. We've had freezing cold temperatures, rain, and now freezing rain. I'll show you what the greenhouse looks like in this kind of weather. The plastic is coated with ice. If we go inside, you can see that even the roof it's hard. Let's give it a hit and see what happens. There goes the ice. I've come out here today to get some pots. We're going to be doing some repotting today. And I'm having a look at my 3D printed pots, which are behind me here. These pots were printed with the NGen plastic. It's not the PLA, which is biodegradable. And I've been doing a torture test out here. They've been out in the greenhouse in the heat of the summer and the cold of the winter. This one was filled with soil and it's doing quite well. So no problems with them. Yeah, they look as good as the day I got them. Yeah, so that plastic is working out really well for bonsai pots. So I'll get these pots back inside and get them warmed up inside the plant room. I'm not sure what I'm going to pot today, and I'm not sure what pot I'm going to use, but we'll figure something out. Let's head indoors now and start today's work here in the bonsai zone. The trees in the backyard are really weighed down with the ice. You can see the branches are almost touching the ground. Some of this spruce here. Nature's way of pruning out the weak branches, I guess. Yeah, it's pretty frozen back here. Here's the larch tree. Wow, look at the layer of ice. That's pretty cool. Even the cones are coated in ice here. Yeah, those branches are bending down too. I have to be really careful walking. The ground is covered with a layer of ice, so one wrong move and down you go. So I kind of have to shuffle along here. If I had skates, I could probably skate on this. Hi, kitty. Hello, kitty. Hello. Here's my hibiscus in bloom. It has 3 flowers on it now. The one from yesterday fell off. It was right here. But it still looks really good. That's the most flowers I've ever had on it. In past years, I've always had them come out one at a time, so it's kind of nice seeing 3 blooms on one tree. So after the flowering is all done, I'll be cutting the plant back, shortening all these long stems. I just let them grow each winter to get the flowers and increase the vigor of the tree. Beautiful color in the flowers. Nice orangey color. I've waited one more day and all the blooms have fallen off my hibiscus now. They just kind of curl up and drop off the tree. Once the blooms fall off, it's a really good time to prune back the tree. So I think we'll start today by doing that. Before I start to do any pruning work to the tree, I've got to stand back and look at the overall design and decide where I want to take the tree in the future. The hibiscus tree in nature doesn't really have a tree-like form. They're more of a bush. They'll grow, 2 to 3 meters tall and have flowers all over the top, but they don't really take on a tree-like appearance. So I'm going to style this to kind of show off the flowers. So usually that means like the tropical tree style with a rounded canopy. So someday I can get a nice bushy top full of flowers. So right now I have the trunk, it comes up, it divides from the one trunk, has a small back branch here, but one trunk dividing into two, and then shortly after that it divides into two again, and so on. I want to build kind of a, a rounded canopy to the tree. Sort of like that, keeping it fairly compact. Here's a close-up, the trunk, dividing into two, and then dividing into two again. So I want further divisions, so it divides from 2 to 4 to 8 and so on, to build up, a density of branches in the canopy. The trunk doesn't have a lot of taper on this tree. It's fairly straight, but that's okay. I mean, it doesn't need massive taper. But a lot of these branches are quite long and they don't have a lot of taper either. They start off at this thickness and they very slowly taper to the tips, but they need to be pruned back to create finer branching coming off. So we have our trunk thickness, our primary branch thickness, and then we'll have a secondary branch thickness, which will be even smaller. As the branches get finer and finer in thickness towards the tips, you also want the inner node between the branch divisions to get smaller and smaller. So it starts off, fairly large internodes, and then the divisions get successively smaller as it goes to the crown of the tree. This branch here comes off the trunk, divides into two fairly close to the trunk, and then divides into two again at this distance. So the next pruning point I want, it will be a little smaller than that distance, so probably somewhere here on this branch. And I already have a branch coming off this one, so this one will be pruned back to here. I'll start the pruning on this branch. This back branch here doesn't have any leaves anywhere, so it'll be a bit of a Hail Mary cut. There is a bud right here that'll sprout, so I'm going to take it back to just above that bud, right here, to there. This one, because I have that branch here, I'll take it back just above there. So that prunes off quite a bit, but it'll make it more compact and I can build that structure really nicely. The next branch I'll prune is this one that comes out the front of the tree, and it's kind of a more vertical branch, but I do want to shorten it. And I have a leaf here with a little branch. There's another one back here. I'll prune it off to there for now. And we'll see in the end if we need to prune it back further. This branch here, it has another branch behind it, so it divides from the one into two here. There's all kinds of buds all over it, so I could shorten them anywhere I wanted. So, I probably, I want to keep the crown, doesn't have to be totally symmetrical, but I don't want it too wildly out of symmetry. I could keep maybe some longer branches on this side. Let me have a look. I think that would suit the design because the trunk kind of comes up and it's almost like a windswept almost. It comes up and it curves, and this branch has a really nice flow line with the trunk. So if that branch were a little longer, it would make sense to the styling of the tree. I'll try shortening. I'm going to shorten this vertical branch here. And that, may be pruned off in the future. I'll shorten this division here. I'll shorten it back to here, to there. And I have a branch out the back here. I need to shorten this somewhere. I'll try keeping my ramification for now and take it off there. This one that comes off the back of it, I'll have to shorten it also. So I'm going to take it off here for now. I've got this branch coming off the trunk, and I've always debated, should I take it off, should I leave it? And I've always left it on just to create a bit of interest there. So I'll definitely shorten it, so I'll take it back to here. to there. And then I have to shorten these branches up here, so I have a division here, so I can take it back to here, to there, and I'll take this one back to, I think, here for now, and we'll see how that looks. I'm out front now having a look at the tree, just examining that basic branch structure. This basic skeleton of the tree, as you see it now, you know, is really important. That's the framework of your entire canopy. And I think it's looking pretty good. It looks very natural. It doesn't look forced or contrived. It has a fairly nice width to it for that kind of thickness of branches and that. I think it'll be quite good. I'm just seeing if I need to make any adjustments or... Yeah, I don't think there's anything that's, you know, stands out as bothering me or doesn't look right or is out of place. I think it's looking okay. It may be difficult to see that branch structure from a single view out front, so I'll fly in now and kind of show you that branch structure from a few different views. So you can see the, you know, the start, the foundation of the canopy. So I hope that gives you a better idea of what it looks like. The hibiscus tree is all pruned up and it's ready to go back on the bench to grow again. Today I'll be repotting my little Serissa forest that has the ancient ruins in the background. It's in a 3D printed PLA plastic bonsai pot, and the pot kind of sagged in the heat of last summer. So I have this shallow clay pot, and I think this forest would look really good in this clay pot. The forest seems to fit really well in this pot. It's a nice size. It gives it a little more room for the landscape so it won't look so crowded. This pot I'll use for something else. This forest also got hit with spider mites, but not as bad as my African-style Serissa forest. So I've sprayed it a couple of times and it's growing really healthy now, so I think my spider mite problems are hopefully in the past. I'm not sure what the roots will be like in this forest, if they'll be all, you know, one big mat of roots and I can transplant it as a clump, or if the trees will have their individual root systems and will have to be, you know, planted separately. I guess we'll find that out when we get it out of the pot. I'll remove the ancient ruins first, and we'll place that over here. My ruins did fall out of the pot once, and I've got a bit of a part chipped off here, so I'll have to touch that up. Okay, so let's see if we can get this out of the pot. And I'm not really repotting this for health reasons. I'm just changing the pot to hopefully get this forest to look better and really nice. I don't think it's a mat of roots. I'll try and pull it out all at once, but I think the trees are going to probably separate. Maybe not. There it is. It's on a mat here. My window screening at the bottom is holding it all together. So I'm going to keep it together like that. And I can just place it in the new pot like that. We can take this pot away. There's that pot. The tree's fitting in the new pot really well. I'm just picking out some dead leaves here. So I can fill in the space around the pot, you know, the gaps, because the new pot's larger, with fresh bonsai soil, so I'll do that now. I think the position of the trees in the pot is fine. I will push them just a little bit towards the back here. That'll give a little more landscape room at the front. Like that. I think that'll be good. And I think the position of the trees is fine. I'll just tilt it a little bit
bring these trees out in the foreground a little more, like that. So my ruins can still go in back here. And now I'll start filling it all in with soil. And I think I'm going to need a spoon for this. There's not a lot of space in between the pot and the planting. And this is half pumice and half turfus that I'm using as the soil. I don't normally use pumice. It kind of takes the place of my perlite. So that's looking a little better. I'll place my ancient ruins back here now. I'll get the ancient ruins sort of embedded down in the soil here. It's sticking up a little high. I'll give the forest a gentle misting. And then I'll give it a watering. So here I go. The next step will be to give the trees a pruning. They're kind of getting long and leggy, so it's time to prune them back to a more compact form. I'll be using my gold-handled crane scissors to do the pruning. This tree is my central tree to the forest, so it needs to be the tallest, but I will prune it back to there. So that should be the highest tree in the planting, so all the rest will be shorter than that. I do kind of want a bit of a triangle-shaped, asymmetrical triangle-shaped silhouette to the planting. I'm out front now having a look at the design of the forest. It's starting to get that kind of asymmetrical triangle shape to the silhouette of the forest, which is looking good. You can see the ancient ruins back there. You kind of like a pathway going to the back of the planting, which I like. There's a few trees. The one back here is sort of crisscrossing with some of the other trees. However, it's a back tree, so it fills in space. It looks better in 3D than it does from the front. As those trees get stronger, I can sort of start refining the branch shapes and trunk lines to them, but I can't do a whole lot yet because the trees are so young and the forest is so young. It was just started last year from cutting, so as everything strengthens up, you can start to do more to the trees. The larger pot doesn't fit on the 3D printed bonsai stand anymore, so I'll have to get a new larger stand for this planting. The monk looks pleased with the progress of the small Serissa forest. Little changes like this can sometimes make a big difference. That's all the work I'll be doing today to my little Serissa forest. In the summer I'll be adding moss and people and kind of detailing it. So now it's time for today's update. My first update today is my Pink Pixie Bougainvillea bonsai. It's grown in really well since I leaf pruned it. It's been just over 2 months since I defoliated the tree and pruned it. So it's grown back really well. It's nice and bushy now, and it needs another trim. I've allowed the tree to grow for the last 2 months, and it's grown really well. There's at least 8 to 10 pairs of leaves on the new shoots. So today I'll be using directional pruning. I'll be pruning these new shoots back to the first or second pair of leaves, depending on what direction they're facing. So here I go. I want my new growth to fan out, so I'll prune right here. Right to there. The tree might look a little naked for a while again, but here's some outward facing leaves here, so I'll prune back to here. Like that. There's a shoot up here that's really vigorous. I'll prune it back to here. Again, in the crown of the tree, I'll be pruning it back, finding leaves that face outwards and pruning just above those. So I think right in here. There's a lot of leaves in here. It's really filled out this tree.
It's important to let the tree grow to get those 8 to 10 pairs of leaves before you prune it back. This gives the tree lots of health and energy so it can recover fast from the pruning operation. I'll put the bougainvillea back on the bench and I'll get out today's second update. The second update for today is my Ficus religiosa bonsai, or people tree. I leaf pruned it and top pruned it, and now all the new leaves and branches are coming in and filling out. I will be repotting this tree this winter. I'm just trying to find a nice shallow flat oval pot for it, and then I can do the repotting. It's time now for viewers' picks. Hamza from Denmark has sent in pictures of his Japanese maple. Kunal from India has sent in pictures of his adenium, his ficus panda, another ficus, and some various trees in his neighborhood. That's all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.